Hey guys, so it's been a couple days since my hiking trip. I wanted to come on here and tell you guys how it went, as well as a few things that I would do differently. So I'll start with the morning of. I got up around 7:30 and just got ready. I left around 8 and I was able to drive just straight there. It was about 2.5 hours to Frozen Head from here. So I drove all the way through and I got there around noon. So around noon, I stopped by the visitor center and I just got myself a paper map. They're free at the visitor center, and I suggest you get one for sure because it was just good to have. And while I was there, I spoke to the guy there. He was super nice. He told me that our campsite was haunted and that there are some ghost stories. So with that, I was a little apprehensive, but with that, I headed off to the campsite. It's about a 1-mile hike to the camping site. We stayed at the Spicewood Campsite, and it was definitely increasing in elevation the whole time. So yeah, that was kind of intense with the 30-pound pack. So we got to the campsite and we started setting up almost immediately. So I set up my hammock as well as the tarp above my hammock. I thought I wasn't gonna need it. You know, I was like, oh, I'm only gonna need it if it's raining out, but or if it rains, then on top of the hammock. But no, you need it for sure. You need it for bugs mostly. So I already did that, and it's nice to have like privacy while in the woods and everything. There is usually a little bit of water by the campsite that runs through, but it was all dry as you can see. We hung our bear bag, which we ended up having to rehang later in the night. So it took us about 2 hours to get to the lookout tower. It was about 3.5 miles that we hiked, and a lot of it was pretty strenuous. I didn't have my 30-pound pack on. I just had a day pack. But it still was very strenuous, and I kind of did something to my knee before, so I was wearing a knee brace, and that did help for sure. But it was very strenuous. So if you are going to Frozen Head, be prepared that that hike is going to be just a little much. If you're not used to hiking, or if you're not used to just being out and doing some type of activity daily. When we did make it to the lookout tower, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was definitely gorgeous and worth the hike for sure. As you can see this footage, I mean, it is really beautiful. So from the lookout tower, we had about another 3.5 miles to get back. So we started around 4 p.m. and we made it back around, what was it? I think it was around like 6:37. So it did take a little bit, but it was a really pretty hike. We gathered some firewood. There was no firewood around our campsite at all, so we had to go a half mile out to gather some wood. And I was bitten by ants. So I had picked up a log that had a bunch of ants on it, and they were just biting me all up and down my arm. So that was a ton of fun. So we gathered enough wood for the campfire and we started setting that up. I got everything ready for dinner. We were making tacos. So I had corn tortillas as well as some flour tortillas. I had some cilantro and some limes. I wanted to make some cilantro lime rice, like chipotle. That's, you know, kind of my favorite for sure. So we made some of that. I had the salt, I had some pepper as well. We had some lentils, some Mexican flavored lentils. Oh my gosh, they were so good. So we were pretty tired by that point, but we made dinner, and making dinner on a campfire is a lot of fun. Like, I have never done that before, and that was a treat for sure. So dinner was really delicious. We ended up just being exhausted after dinner, so we were kind of turning in a little bit earlier. It was around 10 o'clock when we just got in our hammocks, and we decided that now would be a good time to sleep for sure, because we were just exhausted. But little did I know I was going to have a really hard time getting to bed. It was probably around 12 o'clock before I actually got to bed. But I did end up falling asleep. I did not have any ghosts visit me in the night. I was super disappointed by that. I was looking forward to meeting all of the campsite ghosts, and none showed up. So, out of luck there. Good morning. I did not sleep well. So in terms of things I would do different next time, I would definitely maybe arrive earlier so I could have more time to hike. I think I would take more time, you know, looking at the lookout or doing other things on the hike if I had a little more time. So I would arrive earlier for sure. And since I slept so poorly through the night, I think something that would really help me is to get a sleeping pillow, because it was really just like the tension on my head, and there was no comfortable place for my head to lay. So I think a sleeping pillow would be really good. And then a hammock under quilt. So a lot of times when you're laying in your hammock, you're laying in a sleeping bag, right? And you can compress the sleeping bag so underneath you gets really cold. And so I didn't know to get a underquilt, but luckily we had an extra sleeping bag, so we were just able to use an extra sleeping bag underneath, and that was able to keep me nice and warm through the night. Another thing that I may consider for next time is a bug net. I, got by this time without it. Like I said before, I don't think I really needed it, and I didn't end up needing it, but I could see in the future really using that, as well as earplugs, because you hear everything and it just keeps you up at night. So those two things I will definitely invest in for the next time. And the next thing I'm going to do next time is bring less food. I brought a ton of food. And it was just a one-nighter trip, so I really didn't need to bring that much food. And you do need to put it in a bear bag at the end of the day. So that's something to think about. It needs to fit in a certain container, so I definitely should have brought less food. And I'm also going to bring a book for next time, because in those hours where I could not sleep, having a book would have been great. So that's pretty much it. I had a wonderful time backpacking at Frozen Head State Park. If you're ever in the area, then I recommend that you stop by and at least do a day hike over there. It was really spectacular. And if you want to learn more about what Tennessee living is all about, then subscribe to my channel. I post weekly content all about Tennessee living. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.